Hi there, Chris from Stone Age Gamer here, and welcome back to Stone Age Gaming. Now, a while back, last year, I wound up doing this series of videos that was really fun to do, that was talking about the games that I thought defined the Switch generation. What made the Switch Nintendo's best generation, in my opinion. And it was really fun going through all the games that meant so much to me. And since I had fun doing it, a handful of folks out there in the world recommended that I try to do it for other systems too, because it seemed like a really fun exercise. So here we are, it's 2026, let's dive in and talk about Nintendo Entertainment System. I'm going to go through this video and probably a couple other ones, talking about the games that defined the NES generation for me. Not these are the best games for the system of all time, but these are the games that meant a lot to me, that defined this system as what made it so great to me, which, I mean, honestly, a lot of systems are really great to me for a lot of reasons, so this is going to be fun. But yeah, there's a lot of NES games. I don't know how many chapters this is going to be, but we're going to start off with black box games, just because I have them organized on my shelves by different eras, kind of. I'm a lunatic, but I love black box games. They have a very unique sensibility to them. They're a very specific kind of Nintendo game that, you know, before they evolved into the more like large stuff like Legend of Zelda and et cetera, et cetera. So I think it'll make for a fun conversation. I'm literally waving an NES console around like a lunatic. I'm just gonna put that down. Anyway, these are the first chunk of games in the black box series that meant a lot to me and why I love them and why I think they made the NES a great generation. Alright, we're going to get things started here in our black box run-through of the games that defined the NES generation for me. Again, this is for me. These are the games that meant the world to me. And we're going to start off with the one that, well, started off for me and probably started off for a lot of kids in North America, and that is Super Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt. Yes, this is a reproduction box because this game didn't come with a box. It came with the system. But this game right here, Mario Duck Hunt, does it even really need... what's the word? Does it need an introduction? I don't think it does. It is like one of the most common video game cartridges out there, and this is one of the many copies of this that I have. I'll explain that in a second. So I remember going to my friend Joey's house, and I was an Atari kid. I didn't really know anything outside of the world of Atari, but I had some very basic knowledge of arcade games. And when I first played this, when he plugged this in, not only did it have 2 games in it, but it just blew my mind. Super Mario Brothers is amazing. It was amazing then, it is still amazing now. It is such a good game, and I remember taking this instruction manual to school with me all the time because they wanted you to read some sort of story, so I would read the story of Super Mario Brothers about how they were mushroom people were turned into bricks, and I'd read all the descriptions of the enemies and stuff, like the little Goombas and the Koopa Troopas. I read this thing back to back, over and over again, cover to cover. I just loved it with every fiber of my being. Another piece of fun history with me and Mario Duck Hunt. I worked at Funcoland for a long time, and we sold these for 10 cents a piece back then. We couldn't keep, there was no way to have enough of these in stock at any point, right? Now, you'd love to find these things for 10 cents a piece, but not that they're super expensive, but 10 cents a pop was pretty funny. So one year for my birthday, friends of mine went to my store when I wasn't working and bought every copy of Mario Duck Hunt and every Zapper gun in the store, and basically gave me a giant trash bag filled with dozens upon dozens upon dozens of copies of Mario Duck Hunt and Zapper guns, which they cut all the wires off of so they couldn't be used anymore, which was awesome and awful at the same time. God, it breaks my heart thinking of all those Zapper guns that could still be useful today but are absolutely just garbage. And this box came from, I believe this one came from Uncle Tusk a long time ago. I don't think the Uncle Tusk website is still in existence, but I got some really cool boxes for games that never had boxes from old Uncle Tusk's site, and I've always liked this one. It does a pretty solid job of matching things up. It's got the right font. You're gonna see some more repro boxes in this particular video that drive me absolutely insane because the font is wrong, and they're really common images that you see on the internet of these black box games where the font just ain't right. But anyway, Mario Duck Hunt. One of my absolute favorites. It's just, this didn't just kick off the NES for me. This kicked off video games for me. This was just an amazing game. Next, we're going to go things a little bit backwards, and this is Mario Brothers. So I loved Super Mario Brothers, but I didn't realize that it was actually technically a sequel. It was a follow-up to Mario Brothers. Now, I lived in a town called Smithville, and there was a recreation center, right? There was a rec center that we could go to and play. You know, we could play pool and stuff. They had a pool that we could all swim in with our friends, but they also had this little rec room where they had a couple of arcade games. And when I first saw Mario Brothers, I was like, what is this? What do you mean there's a regular Mario Brothers? Super Mario Brothers was the sequel? Absolutely blew my mind, and I loved it so very much. I had so much fun with that machine, playing Mario Brothers, and then I realized that this existed on NES because I saw a poster, one of those little promotional posters from way back in the old days. They used to come with these things, and there was, oh look, there's regular Mario Brothers for NES. I should totally get that. Here, you know, here's a closer look at the cartridge while I'm telling this story. So I found out that it existed, and I asked my mom to take me over to, I think we got this from Toys R Us. So this is the cartridge that I got when I was younger. This is a reproduction box. Which drives me nuts because my box got destroyed. More on that in a second. But yes, this is my copy of Mario Brothers and my instruction manual. And again, I would bring this to and from school. And this is such a good port. Although it always really, really bothered me that you couldn't... The turtles wouldn't jump out of their shells. Like in the arcade game, you knock over a turtle and they would, you leave them there long enough, they'll jump out of their shell, kick it, and then get back in and, you know, run around a little bit faster. And this one, they just change colors and get back up on their feet eventually. But all in all, this is such a good port of Mario Brothers. It plays and looks pretty darn good. And the box is pretty well spot on. No font issues here. This is, oh goodness, I can't remember where I got these from. I got a bunch of these black box reproduction boxes because boxes for black box games are really expensive. And as much as I would love to own all of them, that's just never going to happen. Like, I got a repro box for my Donkey Kong Jr. Math. I ain't spending that kind of money on a terrible box for a terrible game. But anyways, yes, Mario Brothers. This is where you first saw the green pipes. This is Mario and Luigi's first encounter with turtles. Like, this is such an important historical artifact, and I really do wish I had a real box for this one. But the repro box will have to do for now. At the same place, now I had also played Donkey Kong Classics a lot. We're going to get to Donkey Kong Classics later because that's not a black box one. But this one is Donkey Kong 3. This is not a great game, but I put this on this list of games that really defined the NES generation for me because this was another one of those games that just really, really took my imagination for a ride. Right next to Mario Brothers at that rec center in Smithville, there was a Donkey Kong 3 machine. And I just remember Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. on NES. I had never played the arcade versions. There's a Donkey Kong 3, and it was wild. This is another one of those games that really kind of messed with my mind. Because I couldn't quite get the hang of it. I liked the way it looked. I liked the way it sounded. I liked that it had a different character, Stanley the Bugman, instead of Mario. So I eventually tracked down an NES version of the game, and this is another really, really faithful arcade port. This game looks and plays really spot on as far as replicating the arcade experience. And I do think this repro box is spot on. I'm pretty sure there's no font issues here either. But yeah, here's the cartridge for it. If you've never played Donkey Kong 3 before, or if you, like me when I was a kid, didn't know there was an actual Donkey Kong 3, this is a shooter. more than a platformer. Like DK and DK Jr. are these little platforming games, but this one you play as Stanley the Bugman, and you gotta shoot Donkey Kong in the crotch because he's in your with bug spray. It doesn't make any sense. This is such a weird premise for a game, and it really doesn't play like either of the previous Donkey Kong games. There's almost no through line aside from the fact that Donkey Kong is in it. You know, when you're Stanley and you're basically just shooting all these bugs with these bug spray things, and you got to keep shooting Donkey Kong in the crotch until he moves up to the top of the screen and then moves to the next area in this apparently just absolutely enormous greenhouse that you exist in. This is such a weird game, but it's one of those things that really captured my imagination of like, the world of Mario and Donkey Kong is more vast and more strange than I knew it was as a kid who just started off on Super Mario Brothers. And as much as this game is not super fun to play for more than, I don't know, 2 minutes, it will always hold a very special place in my heart as being one of those games that just defined the NES to me. Speaking of weird games that expand the concept of Mario games, we have Wrecking Crew. This is another one of those games. Now, alright, I wish I could remember where I was when I first played this. There was some family friend that had an NES, and I remember picking up this game cartridge. This is another reproduction box, by the way. I know. I have too many of these. I wish I had more real ones, but it's a pretty high quality one. And again, I don't think the font is messed up. I think it's a pretty solid looking box, even though the artwork is absolutely hysterical. Like, this is what Nintendo released for Wrecking Crew. I just wow. So anyway, the story could be told just as well with the box here. I don't have the manual. God, I wish I did. But I remember seeing this cartridge laying around. Maybe not this. It's probably not this specific cartridge. I'm pretty sure I bought this when I worked at Funko Land. But anyway, I picked this up and was like, is that Mario? No, that can't be Mario. What is this? And, you know, my friend wasn't around. He was out doing stuff outdoors like cool kids did. Whereas I was just fascinated by, oh my God, here's another stack of NES games that I don't have. I've never heard of half of these before. So I picked up the game and I put it in, and this wonderful Hirokazu Tanaka music starts filling my ears, and it's super jaunty and awesome, and it says Mario. It's a Mario game. And what I've learned over the years is that this is kind of an interesting take on the Mario Brothers formula. You know, it's got the fireballs that shoot off from the side of the screen, and it's all about clearing a screen of, instead of enemies, it's clearing a screen of all these little brick walls. This is a brilliant game. I had so much fun with this for years and years, and I love going back to it. I'm not playing through every single level because the game's kind of tough and it's very long, but there's just so much fun to be had in this one. This is such a fun game. If you've never given Wrecking Crew a shot, I highly recommend it. It is on Nintendo Switch Online, and I definitely recommend giving it a go there. Now, there is a Wrecking Crew 98. It was a sort of a sequel to it that was released only in Japan on the Super Famicom. I think it was a Satellaview game. But anyway, it plays nothing like Wrecking Crew. It's got almost nothing to do with it in any functional form. It's more of a Tetris-style puzzle game. But this one right here, all-time classic. Love it to bits. Oh, next up, let's talk about Pinball. I love this game. This is such a good pinball game. This is a real one. This is legit. This is not a repro box. This is one of the black box games that I have in its original recipe form. So this is a legit circle seal black box pinball right here. Oh my God, I love this game so much. You can see that the hang tab is missing in my copy, but whatever. So I loved Video Pinball and Midnight Magic on Atari 2600. Man, I'm gonna love doing an Atari 2600 one of these videos. But anyways, I loved those games, but then I played Pinball for NES, and it just blew them both away. This game is so much fun. I love, first off, it's got Mario on the box. So when I see Pinball, I want to say I saw this at my friend Miguel's house, was the first place I saw this. Oh God, or maybe I rented it from Captain Video. I cannot remember. But I just remember seeing Pinball and Mario, and I was like, I'm in. I'm friggin' sold. Let's do this thing. Let's get to work. And, you know, the cute little title screen music kicks on, be a pinball wizard. And that was it. That was all I needed. I was instantly enthralled by this game, and I have put hours upon hours upon hours into playing this game. It doesn't have much in the way of music. It's pretty straightforward and simple, but it's just one of those games that works. Its physics are fun to play around with. It doesn't feel like real pinball. It just feels like great video game pinball, like a video game adaptation to pinball. It does such a wonderful job of being exactly what it needs to be. And it's still as fun to play today as it ever was. Again, it's not the most complex table you'll ever play. It's got this fun little Mario mini game where you run around as Mario and try to save Pauline by lining up these numbers. I've never really understood the exact physics of it. I think you gotta, not physics, the rules. Like, you've gotta make these numbers line up with the right colors, I think, and that's what makes her fall down. But either way, Pinball, amazing game. I believe this had Hal's involvement in some way, shape, or form, or Iwata was involved in this in some way, shape, or form. I might be making that up, but I do think that Hal was involved in the creation of this for Nintendo. You'll have to double check my history. I might be wrong. But anyway, Pinball for NES, black box. Oh, such a great game. Such a great game. Moving right along, we have, oh, this is an unexpected one. It's Gumshoe! Yeah, that's right, Gumshoe. A lot of people probably haven't even heard of this one, unless you're a black box aficionado. Boy, where did I first play this? I want to say this might have shown up at my friend Joey's house, or maybe I saw this at... I think I saw this on a poster, and I wanted to try all the different light gun games because I thought the Zapper was awesome. And I wound up picking this up. Goodness, where did I get this? I think it was there was a store out in Summers Point called Microplay, which will come up again later. And I'm pretty sure I picked this up there. It was the only place I had ever seen it in person, and I was pretty blown away by it, although I have never gotten very far in it because it's very, very difficult, but it's such a neat concept. So here we are in another repro box situation. Pretty solid one, all things considered. But if you've never seen or played Gumshoe before, the way this game works is it's an auto runner, which was not really a thing back then, a side-scrolling auto runner. Like, I guess technically Pac-Man's an auto runner, but your character, this dude, Mr. Smith, I want to say? Oh boy, why am I drawing a blank on his name? Come on, instruction manual, help me out here. Mr. Stevenson, there, ex-FBI agent turned detective Mr. Stevenson receives a ransom note. So his daughter Jennifer has been kidnapped with the 5 Black Panther diamonds hidden all around the world. So anyway, this is a platformer that you control with the Zapper, and it's so stinking cool. The way it works is Mr. Stevenson is always moving forward, and every time you shoot him, he jumps. You can also shoot enemies and obstacles that show up on the screen, like bottles that fly at you or something. So you can shoot those too, but the only way to get him to jump over various platforms is to shoot him. And, I mean, unless you're right up against the screen, this game's nigh impossible. And even if you are, this game is just so very difficult. I've never gotten past... I think I've gotten past the first level. I've never gotten anywhere into stage 2. This is just a ridiculously hard game, but it's such a cool concept. And whenever I think of weird NES games with wacky concepts, this is one of the ones that I always come to first because it had so much potential. And the auto runner genre continued to exist it still exists today, and they've done so much with it. I would love to see this game show up on Switch Online for Switch 2 with the mouse controls. Really, any light gun games in particular, I want to see that happen with, because that's about as close to an approximation as you're going to get. This game is so wild. And again, I've seen it attributed. I've never seen it actually confirmed, but I believe this is another Hirokazu Tanaka soundtrack. Hirokazu Tanaka, or Hip Tanaka, most people will probably know his music from like Super Mario Land, the original Super Mario Land. That's one of his claims to fame, or Balloon Fight. That's another one. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it definitely has his style. I've seen it attributed to him online. This is a great game. This is a really, really cool game, and it's one of my favorite ones to go back to, and one of the things that I think makes the NES such a fascinating platform, especially in Nintendo's early days when they were so experimental. Good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, Kung Fu. Oh, Kung Fu. Boy, do I love this game. This one is another one that I definitely played at my friend Joey's house, and this one caught me straight away. I love the little voices in there and Mr. X's laugh. So this game has like a wild history, apparently. So I didn't realize this was an IREM game. This is not a Nintendo property. This is a game from IREM. It's based on an arcade title of theirs called Kung Fu Master, which I believe is also based on a Jackie Chan movie I've never seen called Spartan X. But anyway, this is a legit box. No repro here on this one. This is my Kung Fu box. I'm pretty sure I got this when I worked at Funko Land. But anyway, yeah, here is Kung Fu. Here's the cartridge. Here's the manual, and you're this. You are. Oh God, Johnny? No. Who are you in this? The evil Tom Tom brothers. I know you have to rescue Sylvia. I can't remember your character's name. Why aren't they saying what it is? But anyway, you got to rescue Sylvia from Mr. X. And this game is so cool. This game is so cool. You're just a kung fu dude. You can punch, you can kick. I've never been able to make any sense of what the grippers are doing to you. They just kind of walk up to you and stand next to you and drain your health. It's very strange. There's these little tom-tom dudes and all these various bosses. Stick fighter, giant, black magician. I can't say enough cool things about it. It's like there's this. I remember playing it the first time at my friend's house, and then getting to the stage where the little balls come down from the top and like the dragon comes out or a snake will come out, and just thinking it was the weirdest, coolest thing I had ever seen. And this game is super short. It's one of it's not too hard to master and then eventually beat. But boy, is it still fun to play. I wish this would show up on Switch Online just for the ease of playing it again. But it's never going to, because this is totally not a Nintendo property, and I don't really know what Irem's up to these days with their video game licensing. But either way, this is an all-time NES classic. This is one of those early games that just, because I did eventually play Kung Fu Master on Atari 2600, but as a kid coming from the Atari to the NES, this was such a monumental leap over anything that I had played on the 2600. That's not to say that Kung Fu Master on 2600 isn't incredibly impressive, because it really is. But this is really where it's at. This is what this game is to me. I'll play this over the arcade version any day a week, any day of the week, and twice on Sundays. This game is amazing. Okay, still got a few more black boxes to go. I know a lot of people think the black box games are super simple, but I love a lot of them, including this guy, Excitebike. Obviously, this is not a repro box because it's got writing all over the front of it. This is definitely one that I picked up when I worked at Funcoland, because a black box is a black box and I had to have it. Oh my god, I spent so much time with Excitebike. I had never played a racing game that worked like this. Obviously, there was a lot of fun to be had with... Alright, so here's the problem with my copy of Excitebike. It is not easy to get out of the box, so I'm not going to mess with this too much. So there's my cartridge, and there's the instruction manual. It's all here, but this... heck with it. It's, you know, I got to show off this stuff. I got to look at the instruction manual, right? That's part of the fun, is looking at the manual. So I'm just going to be real careful opening up the shredded top of this poor box here. We spent a lot of time... Me, my sister, my friends, we would always spend a lot of time making courses for one another, because that's always a good time, except for the fact that you couldn't save them, which was tragic. But the races themselves, understanding this game's physics, and like the way that you would like have to tilt your bike to land properly to maintain your speed, and those stupid shallow hills that slow you down so much. And the way the title screen music would play a different octave of itself depending on how many times you reset it. Like, this game's got a lot of weird little quirks, but the amount of time I spent in Excitebike, the amount of time I spent playing this game is unbelievable. And the sequels have been pretty solid. There's a great one on Wii, WiiWare. Excitebike World Rally is a really, really good update of Excitebike that I don't think a lot of people have played, because it's exclusively on WiiWare, and who the heck played games on WiiWare? But I did, and oh boy, this game, I really just want to go play it right now. There's that kind of versus Excitebike, and that's available on Nintendo Switch Online, but there's a charm to this original one that is just, it's unavoidable for me. I can't not smile when I turn this thing on and try to do a couple of races, and God, that overheating noise is so loud. But the concept of being in a bike that could overheat, it just seemed so realistic to me. It was absolutely wild. This is definitely a game that I played at my friend Joey's house. One of the first place I played at NES, and oh man, Excitebike, just an absolute all-time classic. I couldn't love this game anymore. And I'm going to spend a decent amount of time putting this back in its box and probably not opening again for a good long while. But look at this guy. I love this box art. I love black box art. I know I've been talking about it for like, 20 minutes now or whatever, but I love this design so much. I love how bold it was to be like, we're just going to put the graphics right on the front of the box. Except like they kind of didn't, because remember Wrecking Crew? Was that nonsense? But this is what the character in the game looks like, more or less. And it's so cool, programmable series. I love the series stuff they put down in the corners. Everything about these box designs, just 10 out of 10 for me. Couldn't love them more. Alright, the last proper black box one I'm going to talk about is Pro Wrestling. Speaking of box art that doesn't match the game, neither of these are characters in the game. I mean, you could make the argument that this is Fighter Hayabusa, but I don't know who that guy is. Anyway, Pro Wrestling. I don't like pro wrestling, like real wrestling, real professional wrestling, like WWF, WWE, yeah, WWF. In case you're wondering how old I am. I've never been able to get into it, but this game, Oh, this game is a horse of a different color. This is another real one, not a repro. As you can see, my back of the box is all messed up here. Makes me sad, but this is a legit box, and oh my god. I remember when my friends wanted me to try this one, and I didn't really want to because I'm not a fan of wrestling. But then I played it, and holy crow, is it fun. Like, this is just a fun game. Speaking of fonts, how weird is this, right? Here's the font there, here's the font here. Why are they two different fonts? That drives me crazy. But anyway, so yeah, pro wrestling. I don't know who AR is, but anyway, pro wrestling. The characters, the fact that this has not gotten a follow-up is criminal. Just no other word for it. Absolutely criminal. That Nintendo has not taken these characters and made something new is completely, totally insane to me. Absolutely nuts. Here are all your, let's see, special throws and techniques. These are, so they're just for, where's the lineup? Here we go. Here are the lineups of the characters. This is what I'm looking for. I love these characters. Fighter Hayabusa, Starman, Kincorn Karn, Giant Panther, the Amazon, King Slender, and the Great Puma. I love these characters. I mean, really, Starman and the Amazon in particular. Those were like the guys when we were kids playing this. The other characters had some cool things, without a doubt, but those two characters, Starman and the Amazon, were just it. The crazy moves you could do to one another, throwing each other out of the ring and trying to get like a timeout. You could get them out of the ring, and then you could like throw them into the side of the ring and then get back in. You could jump off the ropes. But it worked so well within the NES's limitations with just those two little buttons. And it was one of those games like track and field where you're just pounding on buttons as quickly as you possibly can to try to win those grapples, because you'd walk up to your opponent and you'd try to do these grapples. And I think it was based on whoever could do the mash the buttons fastest would get to do their move out of the grapple. I don't know. I don't understand the science behind this one. I just know that it is still insanely fun to play. I'm so glad it came back on Nintendo Switch Online, so a more modern audience can give this one a try. There's so much fun to be had here, and I cannot believe they haven't done anything. These characters are so cool. This is such a good time. There's never been a bad time to make a new pro wrestling, but seriously, now, of all times, like, wrestling is still crazy popular. You've got these amazing characters that I believe Nintendo owns outright, so just do something new. Like, I know this game has a history as far as its development. I'm pretty sure the people who, the head designer of this went on to do the Fire Pro Wrestling series, which is its own whole bag of stuff. But still, I'm sure there's got to be somebody who can make a proper modern pro wrestling game. It's been on my wish list for decades, and I hope somebody does someday, because there's so much potential to be had here. But boy, this game, so much fun. Now, I know I said that was the last black box game, but I do have 3 more games, and they're not black box, they are silver box. So we're talking the same basic principle here as far as like the box design and the font and all that jazz, but these are we're kind of the next level for Nintendo when they started making these games. Except this one. This is a very strange outlier in the silver box department, which is why I'm covering it first. And this is Rad Racer, developed by Square. This is a very fun racing game. It is basically the NES's answer to Outrun. Like, Outrun was a crazy popular game in the arcade, so here's your red car, right? This is like, yeah, we got Outrun at home. It's Rad Racer. It's the same basic principle. This isn't quite as good as Outrun, but as far as a home racing game that wants to be Outrun, you couldn't do a whole lot better than Rad Racer. I mean, my box is just destroyed here, and I don't have the 3D glasses. I wish I did. I never really understood that when I was a kid, because I never had the 3D glasses to try it out, but I always thought it was weird. You could press select and it's like, oh, that's for if you've got 3D glasses. Oh, okay. I love this game. I used to play the heck out of this. I think we used to rent it an awful lot. I remember, I think my greatest memory of this, besides just loving the music and just having such a good time with this 3D racing game, because I remember playing something like Enduro or Knight Rider on 2600, and then playing something like this at home. It looks like a 3D racing game with hills and valleys and different backgrounds and the ruins of Athens, and I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. But I remember playing the heck out of this game, and then I remember watching the movie The Wizard, and when he busts out the Power Glove, just when Lucas busts out the Power Glove to play this game, and he doesn't even finish the first course, and he turns around like he's supposed to be super impressive, and I'm looking at like, dude, give me a controller. I could do better than that. What are you doing? What are you talking about? He didn't even finish the first course. Like, what are you doing? That always cracked me up. Oh, but man, I like racing games. I like arcade style racing games. Once realistic racing happened in like Gran Turismo, I was never really into the simulation type stuff. Like even stuff like Al-Unser's Turbo Racing on an NES. Like I just couldn't get into the simulation type stuff. But fun arcade style racing, that is when done right, it really captures my imagination to an absurd degree. And this game really got me. My sister and I would play the ever-loving heck out of Rad Racer on NES, and I still very much enjoy it. I'm kind of surprised this one hasn't shown up on Nintendo Switch Online or Virtual Console, because like Square and Nintendo have a pretty solid relationship with one another, and this is such a big piece of Nintendo history right here. I mean, Nintendo published this as far as I know. You know, it's obviously under license from Square, but this is a Nintendo of America. They did this because they got their trade dress and everything. This is one of the few non-Nintendo developed games that really made it into the official treatment. I don't know why it hasn't shown back up. I'll also never understand why it's in a silver box, because the silver box ones, as we're going to talk in a second, had a very specific purpose to them, from what I've learned from listening to Jeremy Parrish talk online. Jeremy Parrish, awesome guy, watch his YouTube channel. He's way better at this than I am. But anyway, Rad Racer is amazing. Okay, now we move on to the last two, Metroid. So this there are only 3 silver box games, so I guess you might be able to guess what the third one is. But anyways, this is my copy of Metroid. I am a huge Metroid fan, always have been. I was mystified by the notion of Metroid as a kid, but I didn't get to play it until I was a bit older because nobody I knew had it. That's not true. My friend Steve had it, but I was never able to borrow it from him. So whenever I played it at his house, I'd only get to play for a couple of minutes. Right, this is one of those games you really got to get some graph paper and map it out kind of a thing. So the fact that I wasn't able to play it for long until I was a little bit older was pretty, it was a source of frustration for me because I never had my own copy. There was this calendar. I always post these up on the Stone Age Gamer social medias. Like every month I post like the next month in the calendar, even though it's not valid anymore. But there was this Metroid art in the first one, the 1990 Nintendo Power Game calendar, that just melted my brain. And I always loved the look of Samus as a character. I didn't know anything about her true identity. I didn't know she was a girl. This is an actual box, not a reproduction. I did finally get myself a copy from Microplay, that store I mentioned before that was out in Summers Point, which is a place in New Jersey that's not that terribly far from where I grew up. My mom drove me out there because it's like, I have a little money and I want to get myself my own copy of Metroid, and I'm going to dedicate this day. I'm going to take this day during summer vacation and I'm going to sit down with graph paper and I'm going to beat Metroid. And I didn't. I remember playing it for like a couple of hours and just getting my butt kicked and then writing down those insanely long passwords and going from there. But so the silver box games, this adventure series, these silver box games really, as far as I know, again, according to Jeremy Parrish, were really designed to denote that this was a different level of game. Like, this was the password pack. I think the fact that it was a password pack is what denoted the silver, because this is not the kind of game that was designed to be beaten in a single sitting. This is not an arcade-style adventure. This is a whole new ball of wax. And you can tell even by the instruction manual. I mean, we've seen all these other manuals so far that I've been flipping through, but look at this full color, like effectively a comic book that you're reading in here. Oh, not comic book, just like a storybook, really. Look at how much story's in here. This is so cool. If I had this when I was a little kid, I'd have brought this one to school every day as well. This artwork is so wild. And then there's the mystery of Samus, referred to as he in here all the time. Will he be able to destroy the Metroid and save the galaxy? Look at those Metroids. They're so gross. They're so cool looking. The artwork's insane. But boy, when you start up this this title screen, I mean, like, so you've got all this kind of goofy art, but then you've got this picture right here of Samus is incredibly cool. It's so much more detailed than the other ones. But anyways, when you first start this up, that title screen music, and again, I remember at my friend Steve's house, when I finally got to play it, because I had seen it in the calendar, I'd seen it on posters. When I turned it on, I heard that intro music. Oh my God. That was something else. That was a whole different level. Like, by this point, I had already played The Legend of Zelda, so I knew that sometimes you could turn on a game and its title screen would just whisk you away to a whole different world. Yeah, we're going to get to Zelda. Not today, because it's not a black or silver box game, but we'll get there. Boy, this one, though. This one really got me. And this big old map that you could look at, Norfair, Brinstar. I love these words. Metroid, Ridley. There's so much good terminology here. There's so much amazing art and weird characters. The Chozo statues were so mysterious, right? I remember seeing the Chozo statues throughout the game, and they would always have like a power-up or something in them. And it's just the way these things look and the way those statues looked were so mysterious to me. And I loved that mystery. I loved how weird and alone and just the feeling of solitude and mystery that surrounded everything in this game. It was so hard and so easy to get lost, and it kind of reminded me a bit of playing Metroid on 2600, except I could actually make sense of this game. Right? God, look at Crate. Look at this gross design for Crate. That's amazing. With Adventure on 2600, I could never get the hang of it because the rooms don't make sense. Right? Like, one room doesn't actually lead to the room that's next to it. It kind of warps all over the place. And I could never really wrap my head around that concept. This, however, like, this was a real interactive map that made sense, and it was nuts. All these monsters, like, I'm still going. This instruction manual is freaking huge. It's so much bigger than any of the black boxes. Just Ridley. Look at original recipe Ridley. He's so weird looking. And the Metroid, there it is. One of the great monster designs. These little floaty jellyfish guys. And Desgiga. I've always loved that name. Missiles, Zebetite, and the big question mark, the Mother Brain. So yeah, you beat this game. You get through this whole game. I remember the first time I did it was with the Justin Bailey code. If you enter the password Justin Bailey, you get to play through the game as Samus outside of her spacesuit, and you have like lots and lots of power. It's way easier to beat the game. That was the first way I ever actually finished the game, and I didn't know about the escape sequence. That was so cool. You finish the game, but you still have to get away before the bomb goes off to blow up the space pirates. God, this is a hard game to go back to for a number of reasons. Not having a real map, there's a lot of its design is really obtuse. The secrets are just completely ridiculous to try to track down sometimes, just bombing every surface. But there's so much good here. This is such a pioneering piece of software. This game is so good, and I love that I love that I own it. I love that I was able to play it, and I love that the Metroid franchise is still going. You know, you compare this to Prime 4 that I just finished like a week or so ago. It's almost like it's a totally different animal, but you can still see these very, you know, the connective tissue between this and everything that came after it. I vastly prefer 2D Metroid to 3D Metroid. Metroid Dread was amazing, and I hope they continue to make them. But this classic right here will always mean the world to me. Just love Metroid. Which brings us to our final game of the day, one of my favorites, Kid Icarus. Now, I know that most people do not feel the way that I do about this game. This is a classic to me for a number of reasons. This is, again, a legit copy. This is not a reproduction box. This is the real thing. It's got this weird little hang tab on the back of it. But anyways, this was another one that there was a page in that calendar that was Kid Icarus, and I just thought the world looked so cool in this game. I love the look of this character. I loved Captain N the Game Master, the cartoon, so I was very familiar with Pit, even though they called him Kid Icarus on that show. But nobody I knew had this one. Like, my friend Steve had Metroid, nobody had Kid Icarus. So this was another one of those games that once I had some money, I asked my mom to drive me out to Microplay and pick up my own copy of Kid Icarus when they finally had one in stock. It was a loose cartridge, and I'm pretty sure this is the cartridge that I bought. It was the cartridge and the manual, and then I eventually wound up picking up this box way later. This is not the original sleeve either, because this is a shiny Nintendo logo, and those were on later games. But anyways, doesn't matter. So the cart and the manual are the ones that I got when I was younger, with my own money, and I think I tracked down this box years later. I think I bought just the loose box off eBay. But they all match. They're all circle seal. I don't know that Kid Icarus was ever re-released with an oval seal. I don't think it was, but now I could be wrong. Doesn't matter. This, much like Metroid, is another one of those just explosions of story. And again, if I had this when I was a kid, I would have brought this book to school with me every day. Look at this crazy artwork. Look at this insanely awesome, beautiful, weird artwork. I love the story of Kid Icarus. I love the story of Pit, that he's an angel whose wings don't work, but he's still one of the advanced guards in Palutena's army because he's brave. And you start the game in the underworld, and it's so front-loaded with difficulty, which is I think why a lot of people give up on it. And there's a lot of weird secret stuff. Somebody told me before I played it, I think at Microplay, they said just stand around and kill snakes as long as you can. Just kill snakes for like 15 solid minutes, and you'll start to level up when you beat stages. And that's a good way to go about it. It's kind of an annoying thing you have to do to grind right in the beginning, but once you get past those first vertical scrolling stages, you get to this like dungeon stage, which is really interesting, trying to find your way around it and getting the map and the pencil and the torch, fighting a boss, and then it turns side-scrolling, and the game just opens up from there. It becomes so much easier. There is another set of vertical scrolling stages that are very, very difficult, but the game just becomes so much more fun, and then it turns into an auto-scrolling shooter for the last stage when you get the 3 sacred treasures and take on Medusa. The first couple of stages are so much harder than the rest of the game because of how weak you are and how easy it is to die. Because if you fall off the bottom of the screen, you're just toast immediately. But the music is so good. It's so good. I adore the soundtrack in this game. This is more Hip Tanaka stuff. So is Metroid. There's another thing about talking about music. Like, holy cow. The music in Kid Icarus and Metroid were both Hip Tanaka, and they're masterpieces. I would argue Metroid more so than Kid Icarus as far as the music department goes, but seriously, this is such a great soundtrack. This is such a cool game if you really get the hang of it. Its follow-up on Game Boy is wonderful. Kid Icarus Uprising on 3DS is phenomenal, but if you ever have a chance to play this, if you've never played Kid Icarus before, the best way to experience it would have to be either... So on the 3DS, they did a 3D Classics version of this that added backgrounds that give this really neat context to the stages themselves, and the ability to hold the A button to make Pit use his wings to glide down instead of just fall down like a rock that like he does in the actual game. That's probably the best way to play it. Or Rumblemans has done this great like hack of this that you can play like on an EverDrive on original hardware that incorporates the backgrounds from the 3D Classics Kid Icarus. That is ported to Super NES, right? So that's a great way to play this as well. Or just grab this, pick this up on Switch, where you can use a rewind button, which is real nice to have that ability to just kind of rewind yourself out of trouble, which happens a lot because this game's, again, it's so front-loaded with difficulty, but it's worth it. It's the character that this game has, the personality, the weirdness, the strange comedy. Like, this is such an oddball release. And I love it with all my heart. And I love that Uprising exists. I wish it would get ported to something modern. But anyway, that's it. Those are all the black/silver box games that are my favorites. Like, 10-yard fight, sure, 10-yard fight's neat, but it didn't really do anything for me. These are the ones that really, really defined that early generation of Nintendo for me. And there you go. And there you have it. That is the first set of games for the NES that meant the world to me. Now, obviously, my experience with the NES isn't exactly chronological. I didn't get my NES until it had been out for at least a year or two, right? Now, I wasn't there in 1985 or 1986 even. I didn't think I got mine until, 87 or 88 even, because we just didn't. But So I experienced a lot of those black box games I talked about kind of out of order. So there's some big releases that I'd played before those, right? I'd played Zelda and Zelda 2 and Mario 2 before I played some of that other stuff, like Kid Icarus and Metroid, but I just think it's kind of fun to go through it in this way. So the next one I'm going to do, I'll do the next batch of like the next round of first-party Nintendo titles that really meant a lot to me, and then I'll move on to third-party, and then I'll probably move on to loose cartridges, because I'm just grabbing the ones that I have boxes for right now. I have them in two different places. I have cartridge games in my closet, I have the box games up on the shelf out here on my floor, because, again, I'm a lunatic. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw here today, please follow, comment, like, subscribe, share. Let me know what your favorite black box NES games are. Did I skip over anything that was really, really good? Did you really like the well-sculpted buttocks of Slalom? I love that game. It's got really cool music and it's a lot of fun, but it just wasn't one of like the defining games, if you know what I mean. But anyway, if it was for you, let me know. You're really big into 10-yard fight, let me know. Donkey Kong Jr. Math changed your life? Let me know. I love hearing anything and everything you have to say in the comments. Thanks again for watching. On behalf of all of us here at Stone Age Gamer, keep playing games.